to have a guy who has, like, darkness powers, but he's not evil. He's just kind of goth, and, like, he's trying to do good, but everyone's afraid of him. Like, that's a complicated character, and then he was just evil. I was so mad. I was so mad.
He's not cool evil, he's just goth.
Quack.
Welcome to the Little Duck Book Club with Duck number 1,
Ren, and Duck number 2,
Anna, and we are here again for a complete book review, so not theme discussion or what do we call them? A list that we also like to do recently, but actually for me quite a nostalgic book. I felt very happy reading this and actually making the decision to go through the series. I don't know about you, but we're talking about Shadow and Bone today by Leigh Bardugo? Leigh? I always get that name wrong. Which is the first book in the Grishaverse series, which we already had on this channel with Six of Crows. So.
And Crooked Kingdom.
And Crooked Kingdom, yes. Whenever I say Six of Crows, in my head, I include the second book. I'm like, yeah, the two go together, whatever. Also, because I always forget what the second book is called in English. So I'm like, so whatever, man. In German, they're a bit easier. Es ist Lied der Krähen und das Geld der Krähen. Das Gold der Krähen? Das Gold der Krähen.
Gold.
Yeah.
I think it's not just Geld. The
money of the crows.
Sounds less epic. But yes, we are here to talk about the first book of the Grisha trilogy. We will be getting to the other ones also, but that's for then. Now we're doing the beginnings of the Grishaverse.
And also maybe we will probably not talk about the subsequent books, which would be King of Scars and Ruler of Wolves, I think.
Yes, because I refuse to read those.
Yeah, I think mine is from you, right? My King of Scars. Yeah.
Yes, your King of Scars is from me. I bought it because I was so excited. I was like, all I knew was like, oh, it's a book about Nikolai. And I ordered it before more details were out and the cover looked banging. And then I found out what it was about and I was like, I don't want to read this. I do not care. So I gave it to you.
Being friends with Duck number 1 means that sometimes you just get books. It's great. You get books when there's no need to read them anymore. You get books when they don't want to be read. You get books when it's like, hey, I want to get another edition of this book. Do you want to have this book? So this is just... for the future, we will not be talking about those. And I think a lot of the things that we'll talk about in terms of the Grisha and everything will exclude some of the world-building changes that happen later.
Yeah, I hear it goes crazy in the later books, which is also something I would have hated, so I'm very glad I didn't read those.
It does change some of the fundamental beliefs you get introduced to in all the other books. So we'll just throw them out of the window for now, because they don't belong here. Anyways, Shadow and Bone. Anyways, I just checked. It actually is the debut book by Leigh Bardugo. And because while reading it, I was a bit scared, not gonna lie. I was a bit scared. We have been doing a lot of rereading of books the last year, and for most of them, they did not hold up as well as I remembered them. Except for the first ACOTAR book, where I was like, oh yeah, actually this, checks out, I guess. So I was scared I wouldn't like Shadow and Bone anymore, for whatever reason, honestly. And I did not have to be scared. I still liked it. It still was a good debut, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's gotta be good news from me for this video, at least.
Yeah, you're satisfied.
I am satisfied.
The first time I read it was in 2017, I have seen in my notes, which is forever ago.
That's nearly 10 years ago.
So, that's nearly 10 years ago, and I remember, I liked it well enough, but I also, because I got all 3 books as a box set for like €10 altogether, I read them very quickly after each other, so I wasn't quite sure what went in which book anymore, which is why I think in like 2019 or 2020, even I tried to reread the books after reading Six of Crows again, I think. And I was like, oh, maybe, you know, I'll still like it. Sometimes I just like doing it. And I gave up after the second book because I was like, oh, all the fun thing has happened. I remember all the boring shits in the third book.
Oh, really?
And now on my third read of the first book, I'm like, you know, it's fine. I think if I read it now as like just, hey, here's the first book in the series, I would not continue on because I would not find it compelling enough to want to read more. But it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's why I also gave it, I kept it at my 3-star rating. It's like perfectly serviceable. There are many things that I would critique about it, but it's also, none of them are like a huge deal. It is it's a YA fantasy from the 2010s. There's really only so much you can say about that, right? It is very of its time, and some of the gripes are just very personal, but yeah, it's fine. If you have so far only read Six of Crows and you were like, I really liked it, this is entirely different vibes. The vibe of Six of Crows is not in here. The writing is decidedly less good, which makes sense. It was her first book.
Obviously,
she definitely improved quite a bit between them, but it's not nearly as good. So you don't need to bother. I would say, unless you're super super into the idea of the Grisha verse, I would not necessarily say, oh, you should read this. If you like Six of Crows, you need to read this. I'd be like, if you like Six of Crows, just read Six of Crows again.
Really? Honestly?
Yes.
Yeah? Huh. Maybe that opinion of mine will change once we've read the second and the third, because I'm gonna be honest, the most of the things I did remember about the series do happen in the first book. I was like, yeah. I remember characters, obviously, that come up, and I remember the overall plot and the plot twist and everything, but not the detailed parts of it. There's some scenes that I remember that I don't know whether they happen in the second or third book. I think that happens in the third book. But
if you remember anything cool happening, it's probably from the second book. It is truly astonishing how little happens in the third book.
The mountain cut happens in the second book?
I'm not sure. I don't know which scenes you're thinking about, but most scenes that are actually interesting do happen in the second book.
Well, we do
some
know
stuff
that
also happens in the third, but yeah.
We do know that I have bad judgment, so while you think those scenes wouldn't be funny, I might think they are, so they might be in the third book after all.
That's true.
But I would go against that. I would say if you did like Six of Crows, it depends obviously on which aspect of Six of Crows you enjoyed. I think Shadow and Bone could definitely be something for you. It's just not the vibe is different, I'd say. So, but no, I would recommend it. I actually upped my rating. I had it as 3 stars in my Goodreads, and then I had to think about, who else did I give 3 stars? So
yeah, that's true. Some of your 3 stars are pretty suspicious looking.
Pretty questionable. So I bumped Shadow and Bone up to 4 stars after I finished reading. Naya, you know, that's things really happen. Naya. Favorite German argument. So yeah, what is Shadow and Bone about? If you haven't read the books, but you've watched the Netflix show, by the way, you already know a little bit about it, but the book does differ from the show quite a lot, especially to extent of like anything to do with the Six of Crows characters. But Shadow and Bone, quite basically, is about our main character, Alina Starkov. We can get into that later. Who is growing up in an orphanage somewhere in the countryside in a war-torn country called Ravka that is split smack in the middle in a... I always fuck this up. Is that that's a vertical line. By something called the Shadow Fold, which is a literal dark shadow wall, I guess. That was created by the big evil bad guy back in history. He's dead now. We're all so happy. He's definitely not alive anymore. Called the Black Heretic.
It's called Heretic, but yes.
Heretic. In a fit of rage and greed, he destroyed large areas of the country, splitting the country Ravka into heavily damaging any sort of military and strategic force that Ravka has. And now this country that is sandwiched between the other countries trying to wage war on it is trying to find a way to properly get across this fold, to talk to the western part of the country that's open to the sea. And we have two different sort of armies in this country fighting for the bigger picture. We have this small little main character. She's just a cartographer. She's just a little bean. She's just a little girl. On her way to one of the camp cities close to the fold, where they call them skiffs. They're like sand boats. They're probably more like sleighs, honestly, if we think about it. But at least this time we get described what they look like, and it's not just it's not just like a fate in the blood, like a Drakkar. Where she will embark on one of these sand skiff thingies to the other side and have her own little adventure. Obviously that doesn't happen. Something bigger, grander happens, because we find out that she is not, in fact, just a little orphan girl. In the middle of the Shadowfall, we find out she's
she is an orphan girl.
She gets an upgrade to the additional orphan girl.
Yes.
Which is, we find out she's one of the most powerful super rangers, benders, that exist in this world, which is the Sun Summoner. Because next to normal humans, we have the Grisha, which is where the Grisha Trilogy and Grishaverse and Grisha name comes from, who are people in 3 different categories. I will have to open my book because I always forget them. The Corporalki, the Etherealki, and the Materialki. Each with their own special powers, categorized in these 3 categories. With special powers, and she is the Sun Summoner, is the most special power she basically is the sun, and not just in a hopeful, she glows from the inside sort of way, but she is, the concentrated power of the sun. She can make light appear, which is very useful if you want to get through a big cloud of shadow. And then that kicks off the overall plot of her being trained in those shadow powers, and being trained at the side of the Darkling, the person, the original, the maybe not OG Shadow Daddy, but I feel like this man is responsible for a lot of laying seeds in minds.
His influence has been wide-reaching, I think,
of
so
authors.
Too.
He is, I would say, an influence similar to Zuko, in which, you cannot directly point it out that this is definitely him, but you can see all the Darkling variants all over in literature.
You can see which aspects of him made which authors really, really horny, and then which parts of him they didn't include because they thought they were boring, and as such have created caricatures which say a lot more about themselves than the original inspiration. Yeah, you can see his DNA is in a lot of stuff.
You can definitely see it. He whisks her away off to the capital city of this country, where she gets trained to be the Sun Summoner. If you want to call it shenanigans ensue, I guess. And at some point, a big plot twist gets revealed to her, and she runs away from the capital city and reunites with a man we all hate, at least the people who read the book, who is her love interest called Mal, her best friend from whenever she was little and tiny and just a little orphan girl, reunites with him and then goes off onto her own adventure. And then, obviously, that adventure fails because we have 2 more books to get through. And then something even worse happens. So as a super short summary on the overall plot and the overall vibe of the book.
I would say, while Six of Crows is a very... it's a lot more grounded, and it has a lot of, it deals more with the human condition, with all these different main characters who come from different places. This is squarely a Chosen One story, and it's pretty classic story structure. You have one good guy, you have one main bad guy who becomes cartoonishly evil in some aspects, and yeah, it's a lot simpler of a story, and but yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, it's not bad.
No.
It's fine.
I would say it feels almost like textbook traditionally YA, because that was the time when these books sprouted out everywhere.
It is extremely coming of age, yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't say that this was a genre-defining book or anything, but it was part of these books that clearly laid a baseline for how YA currently goes, or what you expect an YA book to be. So, yes, there's some aspects about Alina, the character herself, that are nowadays, you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. But overall, not bad. Not overly complicated or plot twisty or in any way, shape, or form something that super surprises you. Because if you're a little suspicious, you're like, okay, I guess I can see where this goes. But it's also not bland. I'd say it's...
No, it has some flavor. It's also short. Like, Yes, it is 350 pages, but page numbers can be deceiving, because if you have an adult book with 350 pages, you can probably get to 90k, 100k words. This doesn't have that many words per page. I would assume this is probably like 70k around. It's a very quick read. Some of the pages, when they're very dialogue heavy, you're like, this is like 100 words on one page.
You're breezing
Some of these
through
are very quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't really have the chance to be super twisty or complicated, which is fine. Like, simple stories have their place. But, like, it's short, it's sweet, it doesn't overstay its welcome, it doesn't really drag for most of it. A lot happens, it goes quickly. You don't sit there and you go, why the fuck is this 600 pages? You go, oh, yeah, 350 pages. Seems appropriate for the amount of stuff that happens.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. That was one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised by, because, again, I didn't, like, the things I remembered were all in the first book, and usually I don't remember everything from a book, so I'm like, okay, what is new, what will surprise me? And I was like, no, every single thing I remembered was also in the book like this, and there wasn't anything much in between. We talked about this at different times in other episodes, and I also sent this to you as a message when discussing Shadow and Bone, which is, this time I didn't feel like you could cut much. Obviously you could cut things, but it's not like in other books we've discussed, like the latest Sarah J. Maas books, for example, where it feels like you could easily cut a fifth, or even, if you want to be real strict, a fourth of page count. By eliminating redundant sentences or just whole scenes that don't add anything. You do not have this in this book.
I was about to say, not even talking about merging scenes that do something similar or could be combined. We're just talking like duplicates. Just simple duplicate eradication. But no, this is, again, like, for the time, this was a debut, so it was probably more heavily edited than later works, even by Leigh Bardugo. So, yeah, no, it's short and sweet, it's solid, it gets where it wants to be going, it gets across what it wants to get across. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah.
Alright, so do we want to go... I ask this question every time. Do you want to go through it, like, chronologically? Is there anything you've written down in your notes where you're like, we gotta tackle this right now. We can't proceed otherwise.
I would say we don't have to do chronologically. These are so popular. I bet you then, like, if somebody is lost, there are probably like 20 summaries of the plot.
Yes.
You can easily find that are probably not super long because, again, the plot's relatively simple. So we don't have to do that. We could go either like by character or by topic or something like that. We don't have to stick to the
okay
plot as an outline.
So if you don't have something, I want to talk about the Grisha in general and the world building.
Let's talk about
because I don't think we did that, like at least the Grisha aspect. I don't think we did that much in Six of Crows. We were like, okay, yeah,
no,
Grisha there. First of all, I'm such a fucking fan of being like, okay, like Legend of Aang, you know, like fire, water, air, earth, you know. Love that shit. I love the same thing here. People in like these different little categories, being able to use their little powers. And one thing, I was dying. Oh, I'm squeezing this little guy too hard. I was dying to ask this to you, but I didn't want to do it in text because I was like, no, I kind of want this for the podcast. If you could be a Grisha, which would you want to be?
Fabricator, for sure.
A fabricator?
That's like the most useful practical skill.
Oh, so German. The most practical use.
No, but it's like the other shit's so showy, but like it doesn't feel that useful in like a normal life situation, you know what I mean? Like, yes, being a healer could be good, but given how much training they do, like, I'm too lazy to become a doctor in the real world also. I don't want to do that. That sounds like a lot of work. I want to tinker with little trinkets. That sounds fun, yeah.
So it would be fabricator and not the, what was the other one? The alchemy part?
Yeah, no, I want to make little things. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, the Durasts were the one who do the material shit, and the alchemy were the one who are the chemists. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not hype on like making bombs or whatever. I wanna do like funny little figurines. That's what I'm here for. What do you wanna do?
So, also the Durast thing, I think is so fucking cool.
I think that's because we're both art people.
I think like, I thought so too. My thoughts were going more into they also do a lot of fabrics, right? And merging metals with fabrics. They make bulletproof stuff, which I think is so cool.
I could do the coolest cosplay shit if I was a German.
I also love the aspect of Elena walking around the city and walking around in her coach, you know, being led through the city and then going to the big palace and the little palace and being like, oh my god, this must have taken people ages to build. And you're like, if you already read the books and you know about the series, you're like, well, it didn't take them ages, you know, the fabricators went and made really cool buildings with sculptures that are just beautiful. And I love to do that too. I love to be one of them and be like, you know, like, make something beautiful. That being said, I think being a heart render would also be so fucking cool. If you could you can make yourself fall asleep. You can't fall asleep because you're stressed out.
I love
you just lay in bed and you go, knock yourself out.
You're like, yeah, the murder track, I'd like to go there because I can help myself fall asleep. Incredible choice.
I honestly, that's one of the differences I don't get yet. I think this is something they also don't really touch on because back, like when, you know, the Nina thing happens and her powers change, it's not really about...
Because the world building's bad.
But the thing between healer and heartrender, it's like, so who...
How is this not literally the same thing, yeah.
Right? Can they not both control blood pressure?
Honestly, at that point, my thought was just, okay, the healers just do more. You know, the heartrenders are just like, they break stuff, but they don't know how to fix it, but the healers can do both. Because breaking stuff is easy. So I just assumed that the healers have more skill. It's frankly where I'm going.
I'm choosing the lazy version. I'm choosing the hard-minded version. But no, I think also the materiality would be pretty good. I think the lamest one are the ethereality, I have to say, because you think they can do all of the stuff themselves, but then you find out that the ones who make the flames, they also need flint to make a spark or something, and they just can, what does it say, they can just change the flammable elements in the air or whatever, and I'm like, that's not as cool as I thought it was. So summoners, not as cool as you expect them to be. So I mean, say,
honestly, a lot of them are just kind of like, what? Why is this the power limit? And also, how does this exist in the same world as the Darkling and Alina? Like, the problem that I have with the basic setup is that, A, we're doing my least favorite thing. They're making woo-woo science speak about magic, and it doesn't actually apply to it, and they should just not talk about it, because it's just
yes.
magic. Don't call it the small science. Don't talk about the smallest level of matter or whatever. Don't talk about atoms. Shut the fuck up. Just don't try. Leave my science out of this, okay? Leave it out.
I remember, I remember the first time I read this, I was like, oh, this is so cool, this makes so much sense. The second time I'm reading this, I'm coming across the Odinakovos and the Etovos, the thisness and thatness. I was sitting here, I was like, the fuck are we even talking about? Like, it's
it's also just like, you cannot start with that and then in the same world as the people who, oh, we can increase the flammable elements in the atmosphere, but we can't make a fire, have a guy who controls shadows, which, if you are aware of real life science, shadows are not objects. They are neither energy or particles. They are literally just the absence of light or energy. That means, what does he do? Nothing. What the fuck?
He
nothing. Why is this powerful at all? He's just the nothing guy. No, stop. Leave my science alone. Oh my god, just call it magic.
He's doing the strongest math in his head, trying to calculate where he has to create, like, particles in the air, so his little shadow slithers will actually be there by the distance of the sun, you know?
Right.
It's like,
if you think about it, like, it literally makes no sense.
Yeah.
And also, if at all, like, frankly, shouldn't shadow and light powers be the same? If you have control over whether light is in an area, then that's the same skill, whether you take it away to make it dark or whether you make it light. Right? It's the same with the question of heart renders and healers. Like, yeah, they can do both. You can stop a heart, or you can like, you can cut someone open, but you can also knit it back together if you understand what you're doing. It's all just light. Shadows are not their own thing.
Yeah.
They don't exist independently. So the mix of this fake science woo-woo and this obviously hyper-magical magic that makes no sense if you try to science woo-woo about it is so upsetting, because it's right next to each other. It's like, oh, she's learning all this Grisha theory, and then the Darkling shows up and he's like, yeah, I just clap my hands and then it's dark. Fun. Like, what do you mean?
In like, if you would have been able to keep up his charade in like another 80 years, somebody sees him do the clap and then the shadow comes and then that person will invent, clap activated lights in rooms. They'd be like, oh my god, that is...
I thought you were gonna go with like where my brain immediately went, which is like, if you're grumpy and you want shadows, clap your hands.
Not exactly. I would say that for the essentially the same, like, heart renders and healers, for the shadow and sun powers, you could argue, at least for Alina, it could be like, okay, she is the actual light source. She makes, and the shadows feel more like little, I don't know, whatever the fuck, plasma or something. But it is, I see what you mean with it
makes no sense. It makes literally no sense. I'm trying to explain it. It's like, and that gets me also to the second part, where I think it is extremely weak world building, in which that, first off, why do we only have these 3 orders of Grisha? Why is doing magic limited to these kinds of things? They are arbitrary, random shit. What?
Yeah.
How does that happen? But the much worse part is that apparently every country in the world agrees on how to split these up into subsections and how to organize them in these 3s and then in their little undergroups.
I mean, do we know? I mean, in Fjerda, people just put them into, like, one category, which is evil, and then they try to kill them. So,
but we do know, because we do have Shuhan characters and we do have people from Kerch. We know this because all of them also see the world like this. And then the book has the audacity to be like, oh, well, Genya is something that, hasn't been seen before. She can do both. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't believe you. I bet there's thousands of people like that. But because everyone for some reason agreed these are the only ways to organize your magic, none of them ever did anything different. So it's like, don't bring this up. But then have, like, the whole world be like, oh yeah, it's definitely these things and there's no debate over this. Yeah, we all know exactly these 3 things, and also this one guy who does shadows. Yeah, that's how it goes. What do you mean?
I mean, in the beginning, right, we said we wouldn't talk about or exclude the rest of the knowledge of the sequels? Like, it's just after the Six of Crows, which I also think was not pre-planned, where this specific thing does get changed and more muddled, and it's like, okay, listen, it's not that strict, right? But here, at this point, in the beginning of the world building, I feel it appeals to the same thing that appeals to me, in the sense where it's like, oh, we're sorting them, the little powers, into the little boxes, and they each wear different colors of clothes, and they're all like little uniforms and such. That's just like a YA thing where you're like, at least me, I go wild for that shit. But in terms of thinking a little,
in terms of a world, it's like, this isn't a world you live in, this is a stage you set up to perform a specific play, which
exactly.
This is also why, I mean, I've said this to you before, but why I do feel a little bit bad for Leigh Bardugo. Like, she can write other things, but I assume publishers are also like, hey, you should write more in this universe that people will definitely buy from. Which, like, yeah, she built this in her debut novel, and it's not a solid, good world she has built. There are so many holes there which she cannot close because she's stuck with this thing, and they are in the fundamental bedrock of how this world works. And now it's just, you just have to keep going with this, even though a lot of it is bad and makes very little sense if you think about it. And you don't write for 13-year-olds, If you want it to be genuine, interesting fantasy, then it's like,
Yeah. I think in terms of the Grisha-verse in general, it is very noticeable that she, as much as her audience, like, matured a little, right? It's not just her skill of writing, but it's also the things that she thinks about and how she wants to change things. That being said, this earliest of versions of the Grisha-verse is the least mature in structure of how you would approach something like this. I appreciate that she thought about what could be different approaches to handle people who can just, take the air from your lungs because they can summon wind and just make you go whoosh, right? What the different aspects could be, oh, we have to kill this person because they're dangerous. Oh, I want to cut them up and see what they can do. The capitalist approach of Kerch, which is like, great, I'll put you to work. And then you have the Rafgan approach, is like, great, I'll put you to work, but military style. I appreciate that. It's just not very, like, there's more important things she wants to tackle in the books for her. The world building ain't it, so.
Yeah, but like there's also if a key motivator of your main villain for 3 whole books is inequality and discrimination, you should probably think hard about why this discrimination exists, and maybe, if not in a world where some people can do magic, there would definitely also be countries in which that is celebrated and those kinds of people are in leadership positions. The fact that all we get from this world is the Grisha as an underclass everywhere is insane. Like, it is such a failure of imagination that it actually is like, I can't conceive of it. Like, how do you do this and not at least have one country where it's like, yeah, obviously these are like the coolest guys ever. Yeah, he can kill people when like while sitting on his throne. Yeah, he's the king. Yeah, he's the big guy. Yeah, sure. Like, what? Why would that not happen?
I get it.
In what world would that not happen?
That's still one of the funniest things to me about the Dragon Age world. Because they're the areas you first explore as a main character in the first couple of games, is an area where as like magic is a thing that gets prosecuted, but not in a way where it's like you can do magic kill, but it's very hardly strictly controlled. They're being thrown into their own little mage towers. They take blood from the mages so they can control them, and like track them and everything because, oh, it's so scary when a mage comes of age and they get older, they have access to the Fade, which is where the demons are and all that kind of stuff. And then you have this other country, Tevinter, not necessarily a good country in itself, but that's what you just described. It's the country where the mages are like the ruling class. And they look at this backwater country that you run around in as a main character and like, what are they doing over there? Why are they putting the teenagers into towers? You know, just show them how to do their magic and they'll be fine. So that different approach to this sort of magic, like in the Grishaverse, would be insanely funny. What if a country like this exists and they just look at the Darkling from afar and they're like, what are the people in Ravka doing, man? Should we help those Grisha over there? It's like the apocalypse movies only happen in the US. So it's like, another country just looking at them going, huh, I don't know what's happening over there. But it is a huge oversight. I do agree with that.
Yeah, it just feels so weird. It's just like, what do you mean? Like, I understand you wanted this as your as your motivation for your bad guy, but like...
as your manipulation for the bad guy.
Yeah, it's not great, especially because, like, I know your mileage is way bigger than mine in this because you have read X-Men comics and stuff, but I also I have a lot of gripes with this whole, oh, the people with special powers are the ones who are discriminated against, but there's a subset of those people who, because they have powers, think they're better than the common people, and they're the evil ones, and they want to take over because they think they're, you know, way better than everyone. And it's just... it's really bad. Like, unfortunately, you can't... it's such a weird framing of a situation, and it also has a lot of uncomfortable parallels with real-world racist ideas of, like, if we stop discriminating people, you know, the idea of fear of retribution, that if we stop discriminating against these people and holding them down, they will rise up and they will do worse to us than we have to them. And it's just like... it feels like bad taste. Like, every time I read something like that, it's like, it's in bad taste. Because it's just, why is this the thing you chose to do with your magic people? Like, I'm totally pro thinking about how discrimination would work in a world where people do have magic, but to be like, oh yeah, it's always the magic people or the undercast. That's definitely what happens in the real world. The people who get discriminated against are the people who are special and can do more than the average person. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's this aspect of, oh, like, in the group of special people, there's also this radical part who does want to, like, the vengeance and stuff. For story writing, it just makes as a very easy antagonist part, because obviously if you have, as a writer, if you have your, like, quote-unquote normal society, right? And then you have the superpower minority, which is also, I think it's also the case in the Grisha-verse, that you have less Grisha than non-Grisha people. And they are painted as like the evil guys from the normal population, and then you make your main character be one of the special people, and they find out, oh, actually, these people aren't the evil people, they're good people. It is still story writing wise very easy to just say, okay, but in these super special people, we also have evil people because they are everywhere, right?
It's easy shorthand, but it's always like, okay, but where is this idea coming from that it's such a common popular media shorthand, right? Like that's the thing about it.
Yeah, I feel probably there is a lot of stuff from just people looking at history and being like, okay. And I don't mean history in terms of they look at specific things, or just like, oh, humans do be like that, you know? They're like, oh, there's always someone who will exaggerate a certain conflict, or there's always someone in the group. You know, you can always pin whatever side you're on, you can always pin one person, be like, oh, they're the bad guy, and they're radical, and they do whatever, and then use it as justification for whatever you are trying to do, or what you want to do. But I think it also depends on how everything surrounding it is handled and how bad taste it is. We saw this with Powerless, how that was, there were aspects there that were done in such bad taste that it was like, oh my fucking god, the fuck, right?
Yes.
In Shadow and Bone, it's not super obvious. It's more what you said, this general trope to the super people. And
there are different levels of bad taste a story can leave in your mouth, and Powerless is just legitimately a heap of garbage and shit, and the Grisha verse is just kind of like stale bread. You're like, I don't like this. This is not good. But you're not throwing up from it, you know.
It's
you're
not
like,
stale to me. Yeah, okay.
But like that's the thing where it's like it also. This also, I feel like, leads into a writing problem where I'm just like, okay, the Darkling has been around for hundreds of years, and he has never taken the throne before. Why wouldn't he? Like, straight up, what is stopping him? Nothing. Why didn't he do it? The idea that he waited for someone to light up the fold is like, no, you could still be king, even if you still can't deal with the fold better than another king could. Like, I don't see how this is legitimately a good reason for him not to have done something he clearly wanted to do anyway.
I think that's one of the biggest... I agree. I think that's one of the biggest loopholes if you then, like, backtrack and are like, wait a second, because at some point they say, oh, the Darkling has to move now, or does he even say it himself? Because the gap between what the general populace can do and what Grisha can do is getting smaller and smaller, with, you know, the automatic rifles that they are starting to supply to Shuhan and Fjerda and stuff like that. And they're like, that's why he's moving now. That's why he's doing his plan now. He should have done that a lot sooner. He should have done this when we were still at the bow and arrow era of conflict.
the weird part about it is also like, I mean, it doesn't even have to do with he never respected any of the kings he worked for. Why the fuck would he put up with that? He didn't have to. He could have just taken over. Like,
yeah.
What would have happened? Nothing would have happened that isn't already happening. So I don't. It's a bit like, why? What is his deal? Question mark?
It is sort of staged, like, there now suddenly being a sun summoner is the thing that makes him go, now I can win the war, now I can do this, now I can do that. He doesn't, and I guess the goal was for him to have this slow climb to power, and this like conniving little political intrigue thing where it's not him walking to the main city killing the king and being like, ha! Now I'm king, right? But the idea was for him to undermine and be like a little whisperer from the side until he sits on the throne. But the thing is, he should have started earlier. He should have started 300, 400 years ago. There was nothing stopping him from doing that.
Especially because, like, he could have he didn't even need to take over from a king directly. He could have just been like, yeah, this is my territory. I welcome every Grisha and I will not treat you badly. You are like, you rule here. This is a Grisha sanctuary. And people would come. And a lot of people who are not Grisha would also come because all the healers live there now. Like, right? It's not... He could have just started building and then growing his territory. This is like the worst way to go about this. What is he doing? We don't know. And like, I understand, right? It's there to be dramatic for the story so Alina can be there. But a real, a real shot herself in the foot moment with this is just like, why has everything happened so long ago? Why is the Shadowfold hundreds of years old?
What was he
Why
doing,
has
honestly?
Ravka been at war for 100 years? Babe, if they've been at war for 100 years, how are they even alive? Who's growing the food? War's expensive.
Yeah.
Especially back then. 100 years of sustained war. This is crazy. You can't be throwing out these numbers. These numbers are insane.
I think it also highly depends on... It's never, like, very specified what kind of war we are fighting. From reading, it sounds more like a little border skirmish, just along all the borders that Ravka has, right? Shuhan sometimes walks into the border and is like, hee hee ha ha, my village, your village. Fjerda just constantly crosses the border, sneaks Grisha from Ravka, does some mayhem on the northern villages, and then goes back, right? So it's not an outright invasion. It's not like a war has the goal of like striking and destroying the country or anything like that. It's more like a slow subsequent, oh, we're getting this border region and we're getting that border region. But
yeah,
how big was Ravka that they could have been doing this for 100 years?
The thing about it is also just that if you think about it for like a minute, you sit there and go, how are Ravka's borders further than the western side of the Shadowfold at all? Because frankly, the moment it appeared and ruined all logistics of this country, every surrounding country would have been like, oh, free land? Oh, this country should not exist with the cut in it. The cut should be the border. And everyone would have, flown to the side near the water where the access to everything else is better, and everything else would have been taken over by Shuhan, probably. Because, I mean, what do Fjerdans even do? Nothing. Eat snow, I don't know.
Matthias going, I don't know either. He's like, oh.
I mean, we've talked about this in the Six of Crows thing, but it's like, why does Fjerda have any tech anyway? Like, they should be fucked. Like, no one should be living up there. It's not even a Scandinavia situation in our world where, like, at least the parts near the water stay relatively warm during the winter, comparatively, because of the Gulf Stream. No.
It's just cold.
The way it looks there, it's like, these people should be starving all the time. Why is there a country and why is it technologically advanced? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You just have to live with that.
It's star sign ice. Yeah. I always felt like this is something that gets addressed in the later books of the series, but there's also this West Ravka, East Ravka conflict because they do not feel like they belong to the main country anymore. West Ravka does a lot of political maneuvering with the Fjerdans and with Shuhan and with the Kirch people, and I forgot what the other country was across the sea. And they have become this, this Mr. Worldwide little slice of continent. And on the other side of the Shadowfall, we have the old Russia-inspired ye old country. And the West Rafkins themselves are like, I guess, I don't know. We are here now.
It also opens the question of why the fuck is the king in West Ravka? Like, what? If I were concerned
he's
about
in East
war.
Ravka. The king is in East Ravka.
Oh yeah, no, why is he not in West Ravka?
Yeah,
That's the question. Like, why is he on the side that's more dangerous and has less resources? That's insane. Why would you stay there? Why? Just because it's the old capital.
Bigger side.
But that doesn't really matter if the good stuff's not there. It's why is it there? I mean, we know why it's there, because the dramatic beats of the story are that Alina only crosses the fold at the end of the book and only gets to West Ravka after the plot has happened. But seriously, why would any king keep his estate on the shit side and not be like, okay, we're moving our stuff to the good side and we're going to move in a way that we pass through the least amount of fold possible and most people survive because I am the king and I can afford the best protections.
Yeah. I guess I assume it has to do with the moralities and the antiquated ways of the king and what this represents. It's like crikey, old, dusty piece of shit lives in his palace, and that's why we need new energy, either the Darkling or characters that appear in the second book. But that's never that much explained. You get the vibe that the king isn't the biggest warrior or anything. He's described as round-shouldered.
He has no chin.
No chin. No spine. He just sits there in his throne with his big-ass nose that has little veins on it. That's the description we get of the king. But it makes you wonder, and then it doesn't get mentioned anywhere. You could easily do that. The amount of times the Darkling shit talks the king, you could have easily sprinkled that in there. That it's like, yeah, he's so, like, irresponsible for his people. He stays here, blah, blah. And then you're good.
No, for sure. Either that, or, like, I get that at its heart, it's very... I mean, we get this from, like, the prologue and the epilogue. There's, like, a fairy tale vibe to the setting. You have the mystical deer in the sequel. You have, like, the sea serpent. You have all this magical stuff. You have all these standard figures. You have the evil, dark prince, lord, whatever you want to call him. You have an ineffective evil king who will be replaced with like a good, upright, young king who's also hot, incidentally. You have all these elements that are very folklore, traditional storytelling, and then the story acts as if it's fleshing them out into a more quote-unquote realistic setting, but it falls so flat because it doesn't actually do anything realistic with it. It just adds a few more details and it's like, oh, this is not like a fairy tale. This is like, oh, here's serious things at stake. Like, there's logistical planning and all of that. And it's like, but your logistics make no sense. That's the part where I'm like, but like, if you just stuck to the chosen one more mythical thing and hadn't gone with the like, oh, here we're doing realpolitik, if you weren't doing this, it wouldn't chafe so much. These two things don't work together, they work against each other. It's very strange. You have all these moments where you're like, oh yeah, I get the vibe, but then you look under the vibes and it's like, oh, there's nothing there. It just pretended like there was more, but it's mostly
it's
just
like
vibes.
lifting up a little carpet.
Yeah, it's
just checking underneath. Yeah, it's I think that's why it's also a YA book, because this is the amount of, like, politics and scheming. I don't want to say that teenagers are dumb or anything. I want to preface this, okay? It's just that when you're reading this book and you are 14, 15 or something, and you're like, okay, oh my god, these politics, these countries, whatever, that can already just be enough, right? To start and get interested in this sort of thing. And it's a good primer for later getting into fantasy that does, a little bit more with the world building it does. Could it still have pushed more? Because obviously teenagers are not dumb. Yeah, sure. Obviously.
Yeah, no, it's like it works for the story it's telling, but that's why I said, like, it's fine, but, like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, because, like, the substance isn't there, Like, I know. I say this a lot, but I like to think about things, I like when there's layers to the world building. I like when there's obvious connections that feel realistic, like there's real meat on those bones. Like, it's like, oh, this feels like a genuine world where people live. There's texture there. And it's not here at all. Because this is just a story about a little orphan girl becoming the coolest person ever. And then also the last few chapters of the third book happen. But, that's mostly what it's about. And it's about the epic, cool things she experiences and lives through. And for that, you don't need those things. But I like it when things have those things. And when you gesture towards them, but then do them badly, that's worse to me. Because, like, you promised me something you're not doing. And I think there's another thing that goes with my interpretation of this as extremely shallow world building is also the random italicized Russian words.
Bro, that
don't
took me
italicize
out.
them.
Don't
Stop.
italicize them.
And the worst part of it is that after everything that's italicized, what's not italicized? Grisha. The one magic thing. That's not italicized. And also not even touching that Grisha is just a pet name for Gregory in Russian. They're just all called Greg. It's not epic. It's not really cool. It's just the army of Gregs. Cool.
Led by Alan.
But also that, like, it does the names wrong. In Russian, last names are gendered. It should not be Alina Starkov. It should be Alina Starkova. Right? Like, these are simple things to look up. And the fact that this wasn't done, I can very much understand why so many people who have any familiarity with Russian read the first book and were like, dude, this shit is ass. What did you do? Because genuinely, like, if you, like, it's just vibes, but if you look at it, even just do cursory research, you're like, wait, what? That's not right. What are you doing?
Remember, which video did I say this in? One of our latest videos. Was it a tier list? I don't know. It was about... No, it wasn't A Fate Inked in Blood. When I said I blame The Witcher for all of the Slavic tinted fantasy books. I feel like, this is not the sort of Slavic fantasy vibe that I meant when I said that people tried and failed. But, it's strange that it still happened in this different context.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It also happened here, and, like...
Yeah.
Leigh, make an effort. Man. Just a little bit.
I appreciate thinking of a different starting point and thinking of a different quote-unquote culture, except for, the whatever is very Western European. That being said, the basic... It's not just Russian, it's any sort of Slavic language does have the gender stuff in there. It's just looking at your book and seeing that every single time the word kefta pops up, it's italicized, and it gets on your fucking nerves.
Dude, every class mention, and it's like, oh my god, why do you keep italicizing this? Just don't do it. Like, I understand I don't even know if this is her fault, because I know this is a very American thing to do in books, so I don't know if she decided to include that, or if the editor was like, this is just how we do things, but it's bad. Just don't italicize it. If you want to use it as a proper word and don't explain it, that's fine. That's totally okay. But then don't italicize it and be like, here is a foreign word. Pay attention. Like, come on.
I feel like I don't know if I'd be more insulted by that, but I feel like if you italicize it the first time it pops up, okay, fine. But the continuous
that it keeps being italicized.
It takes you out. It really takes you out.
Again, and Grisha is not italicized. We have italicized Kvas, but not Grisha. Hello? The Kefta is italicized, but the Grisha is not.
Yeah. It is the Kefta being italicized really took me out the first time I read it, also the second time I read it. I was like, why? Huh? It's just
it really
so
is
much.
Like, what? Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, the Kefta, and also whenever I thought this was a new word, but then it wasn't italicized, that also confused me a little bit. I was like, like, I don't know. I thought it would, especially sometimes she italicized food and sometimes she didn't. During the training montage where Alina is at the little palace, sometimes the food is just, it's just rye bread and fish, and then she's coming out of the woodworks, but like, but the dessert was a little, I don't know, something Russian. I was like, what? I'm confused.
Yeah.
But that's just, there were some things like in the writing technical aspect where sometimes weird word choices slipped through, and this felt like a similarly weird literary device that to get their stuff done.
I mean, on the line level, there are also some paragraphs where I went, wait, you just said that. Like, sometimes there will be repetitions where I'm just like, okay, this is just, it's a debut novel. It's fine. Like, it isn't bothersome, but it is like, it takes you out for a second. You're like, wait, what? Did we not just say that? And then you're like, oh, okay, whatever. We're moving on.
And also those were far enough in between that it's like, it's not like an, oh my god, it's happening again. It's like, I think this happened before.
It just happens sometimes, and it's also just like, I feel like definitely if I think of Six of Crows has, I don't know how to say it, stronger descriptions. There is a stronger sense of place, especially in Ketterdam, than there is for all of Ravka, basically. I mean, what do we know about the palace? It's like, it's golden, there's a lot of gold, it's garish, people dress garishly. I don't know. Like, that's mostly it.
There's chandeliers. I think there's a checkered floor. She describes the place. You see, the thing is, this is Alina we're talking about, right? She's not an artistic soul. She's not, right?
But she draws.
Yeah, but badly. She says so herself. No, she says so herself. She's like, I am a cartographer, but I'm not a good one. Please help. Send help. Right? She's not the special little best cartographer or whatever. But, so it's like, how much can we play, like, how much of the gripes one has with this book can you place on the fact that our protagonist is who she is, and how much can we place on, you could have used a couple more words to describe.
No, see, I think this is the wrong way to phrase it. It's like, is this a lack of skill on the description part? Yes. Does it bother me? not that much. It's sufficient. And you can argue it as a character choice, but I think you cannot say it's an intentional character choice.
Yeah.
Because I also think that if there were stronger descriptions, you wouldn't go, oh, this is out of character. You'd just be like, oh, that's a good description, thanks. Right? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't bother me, but it felt very obvious compared to her later work. And, like, obviously, I'm very glad she improved. Like, that's just the name of the game. Your first book is gonna be worse than your later books, ideally. So it's not like a problem. It was just something I noticed where I was like, wow, the sense of place is not here in the same way it is with Ketterdam. In the same way that, like, you have a feeling that Ketterdam is lived in and there's traditions and there's stuff that people do. Here it's like, what do we get? We get, oh, there is Butter Week. We get thrown in the last third of the book. There's Butter Week, everyone, where we have a random celebration. It's like, cool, I guess. Great. I love butter.
Yeah.
Like,
the Butter Week thing, I mean, is obviously so we can have that cute little scene with this. I was about to say with the honey glazed sticky bun.
No, don't do that.
So we can have that scene with the bread roll and them getting seen again, blah blah yada yada, and to shape a little bit of Alina's inside when she describes how she felt when she got to be on the Butter Week cart with Duke Karamzov, something like that. But it comes out of nowhere from this vacuum of not getting introduced to any of the kind, like this.
Other celebration, right? Like,
right.
You're just like...
And suddenly it's Butter Week.
the Butter Week thing is extra funny because right before Alina's mouth's like, yeah, I got this from houses, but they were suspiciously empty. I left them some money, but something's going on. And then it's Butter Week!
You expect that Darkling has raised
right?
the
you expect
city.
Something creepy, and then it's just like, it's Butter Week. Time to butter.
You're scared that they'll see like a large procession of people getting killed somewhere, but no,
right.
It's just butter time.
I didn't even remember the Butter Week. I was just like, oh no, is there like a Grisha execution? Like, is there some sort of execution? Is someone getting burned at the stake somewhere? Like, what's happening? And then like, oh, it's a big party. Okay. Like, you have that, and it feels so out of place, whereas in, like, Six of Crows, you have, like, these... Especially in the second book, I think there is some sort of event happening that they use as cover, and it doesn't feel the same.
The one with the masks and everything, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it does... There it is much stronger in writing, and the same goes for, like, descriptions and just the feelings of place. What do I know about Ravka other than the vague vibes of Imperial Russia that I associate anyway, right? Like the decadence and the, general vibes of what does the Russian countryside look like in the 19th century, whatever.
Yeah.
It's also sense of time. I have no idea. Like, they start mentioning rifles and you're like, wait, what? I have no sense of the development scale where anything in this world is on.
It does. I think part of it is to blame that I myself have trouble being like, if somebody were to be like, okay, Anna, like, gun to my chest, when did the rifles come up? I would be like, I know that, I don't know which, I'd be struggling myself. I'd be like, okay, in which Assassin's Creed game do they have guns? So I'm blaming this on myself and not necessarily on the book. You get a vague feeling. You're like, okay.
Yeah, it's just like, that's just what I mean, where I'm like, it feels everything's a little up in the air. You're like, okay, I have some vague ideas, but like, concretely, it's difficult to place a lot of things. You could ask, I wouldn't. And that's not, again, like, it's fine for the story it's telling, but, like, it also does not impress me, And that's where I'm coming from. It's serviceable, but it's not outstanding or particularly interesting. It's just like, I guess it works well enough, but, like,
It also gets extremely muddled, like trying to assign a time also gets extremely muddled in any sort of his stories where you have some sort of magic. Because
for sure.
Immediately you have alternatives for something that you would need. Electricity, for example, they solve with magic. Means of transportation get solved with magic, with the Grisha powers. So you're like, okay, wait, we do have this thing, but we don't have the other thing. But that thing we have because of the Grisha powers. But
yeah, but it's not that I have to place it in a real world context. It's just that in better books, you get a sense of what the general populace has access to by way of description in the book, where you get a feeling, oh, this is how the world works, this is what I can expect to be possible to happen, even in the non-magical context. But this story is focused on the magic, and that's mostly what's happening. Yeah. And then, again, it's fine. I'm not here to execute, Shadow and Bone and say, this is awful. But, it's just fine. It's whatever. This also, actually, talking about world building, also reminded me that I sat there and went, what? Every time someone was like, oh yeah, I went into a church and there were people praying, and I'm like, who to? Who are you praying to? What's the religious situation here? What's the apparat doing? I was like, do we have Grisha Jesus? Is there Jesus out there?
That's a fun thing, actually, that you're mentioning it. Because the apparat was someone I was thinking of a couple minutes ago, and I was like, yeah, no, we can tackle him whenever.
We can tackle him now.
Great that you're bringing the guy up. The apparat being this very typical religious advisor to the king, right? Very obvious that you have that sort of guy there. But then all he does is be a creep. He gives Alina the Book of Saints, and he gives her this little food for thought where he's like, oh, Alina, I always felt like he was starting to rub his nipples whenever he was saying this. She's like, oh, Alina, they're starting to think of you as a saint. Oh, Alina, being a saint is very hard and difficult. Did you know that? Oh, Alina,
you're going to suffer in your life.
Why are they?
Dude,
why
stop
are they
breathing so hard? It's not the time.
Why are they scared of the Grisha, but they love the saints so much? Which in later books we find out the saints were Grisha. Oh, ooh,
that's
right.
Wow, that's amazing. But that's also the thing. It's like, what does this religion believe? We have no idea. Technically, Alina should know. She prays sometimes. Yes, I know, saints and icons and praying to those instead of God directly. Very typical of the Russian Orthodox Church. Yes, I know, but what's the God? Still, though, you pray to the saints to intercede on your behalf with God. They're the middleman. Yeah, God's still out there. So, but there is no mention of any God ever. So it's just what? What do we do? Is this what? Who are we praying to? Who is? Is there a Maria? What is there? Again, is there a Grisus? Is there Grisha Jesus? What's the situation?
You have to stop saying Grisus, because I just think of the musical Grease. It's the lycra suit dancing.
No, but seriously.
Summer loving happened so fast.
That was because sometimes it would be mentioned and I would just be like, wait, what? Huh? What? What do you mean?
The apparat functions as a very creepy dude, but considering how much we, especially in the third book, address Alina as a saint, and Alina being this saintly person, how she deals with it, how it's weird, how they try to wield that image for their own uses. The low to non-existent setup to that in the first book is a bit disappointing in that regard. If you just read the first book, you don't have no idea what you're going into. You're like, okay, yeah, whatever, that doesn't bother you. On a reread, or when considering the rest of the story, you're like,
hey, wait.
Could have done more. Could have done a little more. especially because she is confused when Genya then goes, oh, the apparat sits on the throne instead. You're like, creepy nipple-rubbing dude is sitting on the throne? Like, what is happening here? So yeah.
Right, it's like...
Great that you mentioned it, yeah.
It really is just like, Alina, why are you confused? Shouldn't you know how your country works? Like, everyone would know who's the second in command after the king. Like, that's just a thing people would know. Like, right? This is not esoteric knowledge.
I mean, she is like, oh yeah, that must be the apparat, the guy who is the religious advisor. But it doesn't go further than that. It's also... whenever you have these sort of superpowers and you have a religious aspect in your story as well, there's usually also the conflict of, like they do in Fjerda, in Fjerda they have their religion and they're like, these witch bitch people are going against their religion by pretending to be God. That makes sense in that regard. But if you do have a religion in Ravka, but you don't mention it at all, and you don't really set it into context with... Like, you can't just have the saints. You just can't just have the saints. That's not how it works.
There should be more.
It's... For a saint to be saintly and holy, and, for the saint to get that sigil, this Bienchen, this stamp of approval... There needs to be this entity that gives them this stamp, this little gold star, which is God in that sense.
Right.
Who's the quality control for saints? All I'm saying, right? Just making sure.
It's suspiciously lacking, especially since you would assume that given the way the world is built and, like, the Grisha assumption of, like, oh, you will be punished for certain types of magic, that everyone assumes there's, like, a higher entity that metes out this punishment, right? So it's like...
Yes.
Shouldn't you people believe in something? Hello? No? Okay.
They're not.
Sorry, I asked.
That's why they suck. Okay, that's the Christian explanation. That's why Ravka is going down the drain. They're heathens.
They're going down the drain because they happen to be the country one weird freak lives in, who was like, I'm gonna bisect the country. Why? Because I'm cool. Like,
listen, there's another country right now. There's a couple of countries, but I'm thinking of one country right now that is suffering because there's a little freak living in that country. Who is at the top of the food chain when it comes to... who also plans to build a wall. Anyways, it's just... It does make you do a little double take, because there is a lot of religious imagery, and there's like, I feel like you cannot take this sort of... Maybe I'm uneducated. You can't, in my opinion, take this sort of picture of Orthodox Russia and take the Orthodox out of it.
Right. Where's the fucking statues of Mary? Where's all the Christian iconography? Where is it? Like, you could have just put it in there, but then you were like, but how does that work in a world where Grisha have existed forever? Let's just not think about it. And it's like, that's not helpful.
I mean, especially because she does have the saints. All she has to do is plaster more of the saints. Don't keep it at the... Oh, people like to buy the little scam trinkets that are fingernails from somebody who supposedly was the saint, right? Go a little bit further than that. Or not further, go a step back. Buying scam trinkets is the step further. Take a step back.
Just take a step back and describe one scene in which Alina and the other Grisha go into a chapel in the little palace and describe what they're doing there. Mm-hmm. Short scene. Just give us an idea of what religiosity means in a country, in a world where, like, superpowers exist. How do they pray? What do they do? Short description of what the room looks like. Short description of a priest, whatever. And that's all it takes. And then you can build that out later, whatever. But having random mentions of churches, sometimes you just go, wait, people go to church? People go to church? What is happening in those churches? Hello?
Me when I moved away from East Germany. People go to church.
No, good question. It really is just like, wait, people go... Me as a child, wait, people really go to church? I thought it was just like a bit. I thought people just talked about that. I didn't know anyone believed this.
I thought that was a thing from the American movies, you know? High school going to church on Sunday.
Me thinking, well, you go into churches to look at the nice old buildings, but you don't go there to have someone talk at you. That sounds weird. Why would you do that?
Me being bamboozled when my mom was like, no, we cannot go into this church on our hike because it's a Sunday and they have mass. And I was like, what do you mean we can't go inside?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I want to go.
But
yeah, no, it's...
conspicuously absent God, very strange.
Listen, in a sort of way, I get it. That's not the focus she wants to put on. She wants to talk about the saints. She wants to have this Alina is saint picture thing in her mind. That's what she was going for. And maybe she also thought, I don't want to be disrespectful to anything. I do not know whether she's religious. If she has any religion she follows. So maybe she was like, let me just not. That's why it's so conspicuously not there, right? It's just like that much not there. But I feel like
but then you have the Fjordings, which also feels like a interesting interpretation of religion.
Just have one weirdly horny monk running around. No, priest.
I love that.
Pastor.
You just decided he's horny. I don't know why you decided.
No, he's not horny. He's horny for God. You know, that's what it feels like. He's horny for the suffering. I
was about to say, I think he's excited about imagining Twink's suffering. I think that's what he is horny about.
He's excited about it? Yeah, that's right.
But, like, anyway, I also think it was kind of funny. Like, I know for Alina it's kind of creepy, but his Looney Tunes, I appear in random rooms without you knowing how I got there. It's kind of a funny thing. That's just kind of a comedy bit.
I mean, you have to imagine this is a teenage girl, right? Or
no, I know.
She's 17, 18. That's still teenage to me. And she's
Dude, it's the middle of the night. She wakes up and this fucking creep is in her room. I would also be like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing here?
And he wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there going,
Right? It is creepy. No, for sure. It is even concerning.
It's more creepy than if he would have been like, you know, wanking off to the side or something. He was just standing there. He was, who knows what daggers or anything he's hiding in his big sleeves, you know? He's conspicuous as fuck. This man is...
He's such a weirdo freak.
Yeah.
But he really doesn't do much in the first book, so he's not important now. But he is a funny little character who's around the edges. You're just like, wait, he's here again.
There.
What is he doing?
Yeah. Let's talk, if it's okay for you, let's talk about our other favorite dumb little character, who would be the Darkling.
A little freak.
Our little freak. What a guy. We talked about it in text messages already. But the fact that if you just put everything down, bullet points, you know, the Darkling is actually quite pathetic, if you look at it.
Oh yeah, it's so embarrassing.
The intention of the Darkling, and this needs some meta-knowledge of what Leigh Bardugo has said, was that what she wanted to show... and what she wanted to get across, especially for young women, young girls, is that you have this charismatic dude who sweeps into your life and tells you that you're special and amazing and great, and then you start to fall for him, and then, you know, it's all just love bombing. He's all just manipulating you to have his gains, whatever. The Darkling in the book, though, is so fucking pathetic in his way that
he's bad at rizzing her up. I don't think he even tries. For the most part, he doesn't even try. He's just rude. He just is like, wow, you suck. You better get better at this. Leaves the room. And then one day, randomly, he's like, I guess I'm just gonna kiss her. This is gonna work. Sure.
And she's like, oh, he looked so shocked when he kissed me and like so confused. And I think he hadn't planned that out himself. He was just like, okay, yeah.
Could we kiss? I could also imagine that he looks shocked because right behind Alina is Baghra and she's giving him the look. Because she comments on it right after. Like, the Darkling leaves and then Baghra is also there and talks to Alina. Right?
Right.
So that... it's like...
But, they do
the face of a man who is in his 500s and is caught kissing a teenager by his mom who's in her thousands, and she's just like, dude, really?
But do you think, because the kiss happens when they're at the lake, and then one of his little henchmen, is it Ivan? Somebody comes along to fetch him, and then she goes to the training, I think. Wasn't it like that? But
the lake is not that far from the cottage, right?
Like, we don't know how far away it is,
Baghra
right?
even, she comments on him having kissed her. I do remember that. So it's not... So she definitely knows. So I like to imagine that's what happened, because it's funny to me. But we don't know. He could also just be acting. We don't know.
He could be our master manipulator. And the fact that... the fact that he is still losing to a guy that Alina believes is not texting her back, right? Like I thought it was so funny that instead of thinking, oh my god, he's not replying to my letters, he might have died. Something horrible might have happened to him, right? Because he wouldn't be on the Shadowfall death list anymore when he dies somewhere else in service, or he dies in a ditch, they don't know, right? And instead she immediately goes, this is so teenager, instead she immediately goes, he doesn't like me anymore, he's not replying back, he's not loving me anymore.
She does also ask Genya to check, and Genya's like, yeah, he's still around, he's in this regiment.
Of course, at some point she does, but beforehand she still thinks he's not.
It is truly funny that the Darkling was like, part of my plan is rizzing up this 17-year-old, and then he does it so badly that even after they have a passionate make-out session in a side room, he asks her, can I come to you tonight? And she just stares at him. She doesn't say yes. She's just like, huh? He doesn't even get a yes out of it. It's so funny.
Honestly, I think he misrisked that immensely. He shouldn't have been Mr. Consent or anything, because all the things this man plans on doing to this poor young woman does not involve consent, right? So,
no, of course not.
He shouldn't have gone, oh, can I come to your room tonight? If he really wanted to riz the shit out of her, he should have just done that. He should have just been like...
No, he should have been just like, I will be coming to your room tonight. And I will be coming into your room tonight.
And I will be... And then she's like, yeah, stop right there. But... like, he could have just waggled his eyebrows, he could have grabbed her chin, or like, been like a little sexy, you know, and be like, oh, I have to go, I hate this so much, fuck the king, but I see you later, and then just go, right?
Yes.
But just the moment that he's like a little, like he's begging, like he's like, oh, I can see you later in the right, I can visit you in your room. It does come across as chivalrous, in a way.
It does, like, and Alina's blue screening. She's not saying nothing because she doesn't know how to say no. But this awkward moment is so fucking funny. Because, like, I don't know. It just, if you've ever been... Because after I read them the first time, I did, like, spend some time looking at, like, fandom posts and everything. Because I was, like, I was still, like, in the mood for more Grisha stuff because I did like the ending. So I was like, oh, what are other people saying? People write about the Darkling as if he is charming and suave. And then you read this and you go, this man doesn't know how to talk to people unless he's giving orders. He is so bad at conversation unless he's talking to his mom. It is actually impressive that Alina wants to fuck him at all. He's so lucky he's pretty because he's so bad at talking to people.
I think part of it is also the pull Genya talks about, where she's like, we all feel it, like it's just his thing. I think that's also a huge aspect of like him being the amplifier and people just feeling so
it helps
good.
That he immediately gives people like good feelings when he touches them, right? Like that surely does not stop it, but truly it's like, wow, this man has no game. He is so bad at this. It is incredible. He's so used to just talking to people and expecting them to follow his orders. He has no idea to have like a back and forth on any kind of level. It's really funny. You watch this man and you're like, dude, you're so old and you're so bad at this. Incredible.
I mean, that's another point, right? Where maybe, you know, I gotta, what is it called? Break a lance, you know? Be a little protective of our man. This is a boomer trying to rizz up.
That's not a boomer. That's a man from the 1500s.
It's like he's not in the game. He doesn't know what the young maidens of now want. I have to say that the Darkling from the Netflix show, played by Ben Barnes, does a lot better job of being this dark, charming, suave man, because you have the visual of Ben Barnes' smoldery eyes with everything that he says, right? You don't read that the Darkling just goes and says something completely dry, where it's like, oh, Alina herself is like, I honestly don't know how to feel about this at all, like in no way, shape, or form. You have it being said through this visual of, this is a hot guy. And it translates it a little better.
I think it gets funnier because Alina at many points is like, dude, I can't interpret his tone. His face is neutral. I have no fucking idea what he's even thinking or what he means with that. I don't even think he really is into me. I don't know what his deal is. It's so funny. It's like, dude, if you just put like a little bit more effort in, maybe you could have, you know, prevented your mom from being so effective at talking to this teenager. But like,
yeah,
sucks for you.
It's the overall charming people off their feet does not. It doesn't come across. It does more feel like he's running the side or the scheme of, oh, I myself am a little bit of a bumbling, fumbling idiot. Baka. You know, that's what it feels more like, right? Where she's like, oh, he himself is surprised by his attraction to me. He himself says that he's frustrated with his interest in my fleshy body because that keeps him from making war decisions in the war room, right?
It is so funny how the quote, "the problem with wanting is that it makes us weak," is like everywhere. If you look at any Grisha like stuff, it's like, God, people who want to fuck the dark, this is everywhere. Which is, you know, I mean, it's a fun quote or whatever. I think like Leigh definitely gets across the vibe of a guy who is using someone younger and stringing them along. But I feel like it falls a little bit flat, but that's more of a later book part, because he does genuinely, like, he does want to fuck her pretty badly.
Yeah.
I think there's this unfortunate, because in real life, most of the time, when an older man approaches a teenager and tries to raise them up, it's mostly about sex, most of the time, because it's not like young women have that much, usually, to offer. But in the book, it's supposed to be about her power, and the fact that he has a genuine interest also in her, I think, kind of muddles the vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
I
yeah,
agree.
sure, it is about her power, but it's also about her. Which, I mean, is fun for the character dynamic, but it does kind of muddle the waters, and it also explains why so many people are like, no, I wanted them to fuck so badly. Why is Mal here?
Yeah, no, I agree. My iconic Darkling quote, which is why I was surprised why that is but funnily enough, the Grisha words was not something that I went into the fandom of, actually, as the fine, make me your villain. Like,
yeah, no, that's also everywhere.
The amount of times that just pops up in my brain, in my daily life, is too often. It's not daily or even weekly, but it happens enough once a month where I'm like, like I'm doing
accidentally
something.
Destroying a strawberry in the kitchen. Fine, make me your villain.
I was about to say, like, whenever I cut broccoli and I do not use the stem, because I cannot be arsed to find the part where the stem stops being woody and actually is something you can eat. I'm like, fine, make me your villain. I throw away the rest of the stalk. That's
incredible. No, I get it. It's a good quote for like everyday life. It's like it's solid. Like,
yeah, he's so dramatic.
He is so melodramatic. It's really funny.
No.
I was about to say, Did you want to go? I told you this before, but I am still a little bit cranky about the fact that when I first read these books and we were introduced to the Darkling and being like, there was the black heretic who made the fold, and this is like a descendant, and he's like trying to, fix stuff up, but everyone's afraid of him. I was like, wow, that's a compelling character idea, to have a guy who has like darkness powers, but he's not evil. He's just kind of goth, and like he's trying to do good, but everyone's afraid of him. Like, that's a complicated character, and then he was just evil. I was so mad. I was so mad.
He's not too evil. He's just goth. I can't. Oh my god.
That's where I was first at the beginning, because I went in really knowing very little about the story, and then it was revealed like, oh, actually he's been evil all along, and I was like, can we stop villainizing men who wear black? Oh my god, stop! Black is a cool color.
Can we stop villainizing the goths, please?
No, I really was like, man, darkness powers are so cool. Can we stop making these people evil just because dark is evil? Stop it. I was so disappointed. I tell you, I was so disappointed.
This is so funny. I'm so sorry for you being disappointed back then on that story part. I'm sure that must have been crushing, where it's like, no!
It was. I was just like, wait, no, he's just evil? No! It could have been so good! Because that is like I think there are like compelling ideas about inheriting like something horrible that you have no fault in and trying to fix it, but like you have resting bitch face so everyone thinks you're evil. But no, he is just evil. Which, like, that's fine, but still.
What I wanted to say concerning his like dramatic flair, I love that we don't get to see a lot of description of how people use their powers, but every single time the Darkling does something, he spreads out his hands dramatic, he claps his hands together, there's a thunderclap
with his gravitas. It is very cute.
He is not like practical about it. He's not just clapping with force or concentrating. He wants people to see that he has the wingspan, that he loves going just he wants people to know.
He is a dramatic bitch, especially at the end. First, when he's, presenting all the assembled dignitaries with the fact that, like, yes, I'm going to kill a bunch of people for no good reason. You better respect me. That is really dramatic. But then the even funnier bit, like, that again feels a bit pathetic, but that makes it funny, is when Alina and Mal are running away, and he's just shouting after her, "Hey, you said mercy was cool. Don't you owe me mercy? What the fuck, man?" That was so funny.
He's
You once begged me for mercy. Is this what your clemency looks like or whatever? And I was like, dude, she's not coming back. What are you doing?
It's like the stop.
It's like, dude, all your goons will be disappointed in your lack of coolness in this moment. It was very funny. It was just like
bro, it's pathetic. Stop.
Yeah.
Block her number, it's just, it's not gonna work out. Yeah, no, he is a pathetic little bean. And the fact that, he he manages to bewitch so many of the Grisha makes it, you just expect more. You hear of this person, and it does feel so mysterious, and then you do read it, and you go, huh, like a little head tilt, like, I don't know.
He only bewitches people because he doesn't talk a lot in public, and he's hot, and people are like, wow. There must be so much going on behind those eyes, and behind his eyes it's like ping pong. Pew, pew, pew.
I remember, oh my god, I remember the first time I read this series, I shipped Alina with no one. I saw so many people shipping Dark Lena, and then later with the character from the second book, and then obviously some people also shipped her with Mal, and at the end of reading everything,
Alina and Mal.
At the end of reading everything, I was like, no, she should, if at all, should make out with Zoya. I think that's a thing I would wholeheartedly support. And that's it. I didn't because I didn't feel any sort of like actual romantic or ship. I see why people ship her in Darkling. I see it loud and clear. I see it especially for the Netflix version because all the characters are aged up. Ben Barnes is involved. But in the book version, I was like, no. So reading this again, I was like, yeah, no, there's.
Yeah, none of these people are like good material, man.
Yeah, nothing. Talking about not being good material, let's get to Mal.
Let's get to Mal.
I'm gonna say he's not as bad as I thought he was in this first book. So I'm scared of what happens in the second and third book that made me have such contempt for this man. Because in the first book, he's okay. He's not interesting. He's okay. The overall plot and arc of him is not interesting in the first book at all. He's just there, and he's not. He's just there. Isn't true. He does things, but he as a romantic interest is just there.
Yeah, I think a big problem, at least to me, is that I feel like we don't really get much of his interiority. Like, yes, he risks his life to see Alina again and then to help her or whatever. Okay, but like, why is he into her, right? Yeah. Yes, they're codependent children. Yes, there will be something in the later books that explains it even more. But it's just like, okay, but they were in the army together, and there he clearly didn't think much about her at all. He spent most of his time with other people and just barely acknowledging her, and just sometimes crawling back to her when other people weren't around to hang out with, which doesn't seem super romantic, and like his big romantic declaration literally has him saying, yeah, actually I never thought about you at all until you weren't there. And then I was like, damn, I miss her. Which I understand for some people might be part of a fantasy where it's like, oh, when I'm gone, they're gonna miss me. And then they'll wish they could have me again. But it's not usually a fantasy where you end up with the person. Usually it's like, yeah, and then they'll feel bad for not paying attention to me back then.
Yeah. I think, especially I feel like that's a very, pardon to the people, but I think that's a very immature line of thinking with the actually going back. When you say, well, most people are like, ha, and they'll miss me. The and then we will get back together. That's the immature part. That's the part where it's like, oh, and then once they've realized that, everything will be fine. So it does make sense in this story in itself. And I feel like for me, it felt like the focus was more on but in the end, it was always the two of us, you know? But looking at it from this other perspective of what you said, this like, oh, well, yeah, in the end, it was always you, because at some point, it wasn't the conscious choice, it was more we had nothing better to do. There are
metaphysical aspects here that are forcing you together, yeah.
No, he had nothing better to do, so yeah, it was you in the end. I felt like their relationship from the flashbacks that we get, or from her memories of them being children, does more for their relationship and for their interactions than anything else we find out for like the puberty view. As soon as that man's balls dropped, he was like, okay, yeah, fine, Alina. And then he went off to do something else.
I think the thing there that I guess does not compel me particularly is that these memories, while these are specific scenes that are not necessarily generic, these are also just, this could be anyone. Like, this is, children can be very good friends with people who, when they grow up and develop more of a personality and their own tastes and their own opinions, never talk again, but you can be thick as thieves as children. So to me, this doesn't even, especially because the things they do together, oh, we lay in the woods together, we like played hide and seek. It's like, that doesn't feel like me a connection between the specific person that Alina is and the specific person that Mal is. It just feels like that's just things kids do together when they're friends. And yes, I know, I'm not a romantic person. I think it would be more compelling if they had a fucked up codependent non-romantic relationship. You can be very attached to someone from your life and be like, when they're not there, I can't sleep. I need them around all the time. Like, I'm a nervous cheetah. Where the fuck is my therapy golden retriever right now? This is, that's fine. And that can be interesting. I think it is made less interesting with the romantic add-on, because then it's like, oh, it's because they've always kind of been in love with each other that they're so close. And it's like, well, that's not really interesting. Especially because, maybe also because it's of its time, but it has the telltale fucking sexist idea that, oh, our male love interest gets to sleep around and she has to watch and she's jealous. She never sleeps with anyone else. She kisses other people and he loses his shit over that. He loses his shit over her looking happy, standing next to another guy on a stage while doing a performance. So that's already embarrassing for him. But like, she doesn't get to have other relationships. She doesn't even get to experience anything. She just has this one guy and she's shackled to him, and that's all she'll ever have.
Literally.
Which is yeah, and that's, I don't know, I find this off-putting. Like, it's not, it detracts from the complexity the relationship can have, because it's not like there aren't people who are very close, even siblings, or you don't have to be siblings, where there is jealousy involved when they start to have other friends or start having romantic things in their lives, and the other person stops being the most important part. Like, that's an interesting concept, and we see it from Alina's side, Alina trying to deal with it in a more adult way of being like, well, he's sleeping with other people, but that's not any of my business because it's not like I said anything ever. And that's fine. But Mal does not give off this yearning impression. He gives off the impression of, oh yeah, that was my friend from childhood who's just always around. And then when she wasn't around, I was like, oh, I guess I miss her now.
I don't, that's why I said, I agree with that. That's why I said, I don't remember much what happens in the other books, and I don't remember why I hate him so much, because in the first book, he does go, he has his small hang-ups, but the hang-up is more about the whole situation of it all, and then he goes, I'm not bothered by it because, what does he say? He has tumbled a lot of girls, so, like, her kissing this one man, whatever, she's here now with me, and that says everything I need to know, right? So I'm wondering, I'm scared, what happens in the other books, right? I remember hating him so much. I don't know what will still happen.
I have a very, very strong memory of something from the second book. I'm wondering if it'll annoy me the same on a reread, or if I'll be like, it's whatever.
We'll see in the next episode on this.
I mean, I did write this to you, right? It's like, Mal is convincingly written like a teenage boy, which, fine writing, problem, teenage boys kind of suck and are pretty unlikable in many cases. Like, if you've dealt with teenage boys in your life, which you probably have, went to school with some, you have some memories of what they're like, and you're like, oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like, this whole, like, oh yeah, and then you were gone, and I wanted to talk to you, but you were, like, this idea of, like, oh yeah, I just didn't think about you, but then when I needed something from you, you weren't there, and then I thought about you. And surely this is a romantic notion. It's like, no, dude, it's kind of not, but...
You just miss her, bro. That's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
really
be.
It's just like, well, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see if I will dislike him as much. Currently, I'm like, it's fine, whatever. I still think, just for metaphysical world-building reasons, I don't agree with the fact that how the story ends in the third book. I don't love that part. I still think it's like, it makes no sense. But currently, I am not upset about it. So we'll see how the
we'll see how it goes
other
out.
books will make me feel about it.
So, yeah, at this point, I'm not too bothered by Mal, just from my lack of memories from the rest of the story.
He's also not in this book that much. Fairness.
That's one thing that I thought was making the world building, the characters and everything, actually, when I was thinking about it, actually quite hard to be like, okay, how do we handle this? Because Alina, for the main part, basically the whole part of the story, is pretty, very secluded, not just from other characters, but overall, in terms of just her being. She is, for one chapter or two chapters, in this war camp in the fold. That's like her being out and about, but she's still sort of at work, because, she's enlisted in the army. And then they whisk her away. It's not her going on her own little perilous journey. She's put in the carriage, and all she has is, she's fast traveling through the country. And then she gets put into the little palace. She just stays there. She doesn't go out. She doesn't get any input from the outside. And then she has her one time of running away, her one time of doing stuff by her own, and then she gets whisked away again. So, yeah, there isn't really much of her for her to do, and she doesn't really have a lot of agency. I mean, that's one of the parts of the story, she's like, people decide her life, blah, blah. But it does sometimes also make it hard to be like, okay, who is Alina actually? Not just who is she in connection to Mal, which is important if you want to have a love story, because you have to and not just the love interest needs to be a whole person, the main character and their relation to the, but with Alina herself as well, it's like, okay, what is actually their dynamic, from the children perspective, or what we've seen is, he was always the protector, he was always the guy who looked out for her, pushed over the other kids when they tried to bully her, but that doesn't immediately translate to romantic, at least not for me, so...
Yeah, no, I agree. I think sometimes it's difficult to define a main character because it's just like, well, yeah, they have to do all this stuff, so... And it's not like most people have this super strong characterization to them anyway, right? So I think it's like, she's okay. She's all, she doesn't blow me away, but it's like, it's fine. She has this whole ugly duckling to beautiful swan transformation when she starts using her powers. But I also think there is, like, we know that she's stubborn and she has her own opinions. So there is, like, something there. She doesn't just go along with everything people want. She's like, no, I don't like these people. They're fucking annoying. I don't like this. I don't want to do that. So she does have, like, she's not a complete pushover. There is some character to her for sure. And she does have a lot of reflection, especially in the second part where she's like, yeah, maybe I was a little, like, high on my own supply, where I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna destroy the fold. I'm so cool. I'm gonna be the coolest ever. Like, oh, maybe I was a little, it's not like, quite true. So she does feel balanced enough, I think.
One of the moments where I had wished for her to speak up was when they're running away and Mal is like, you would be so much easier to feed if you hadn't developed an appetite. And I was like, he did not say that. I was so insulted for her in that moment. I was aghast that she did not say anything and just continued eating. I was like, what, girl? I swear.
I think that also pairs with the part where he comes to the palace and sees her, and he is mad that she's not suffering because he imagined she might be suffering and was worried. And it's like, now, what the fuck? Like, she looks healthier and happier than you've ever seen her. And I understand, like, as a teenager and as, like, a codependent little freak, you're like, but she should be happy with me and not with other people, right? That is an upsetting thing to watch, to see, like, oh, maybe I was never good for her. Maybe she was always meant to be somewhere else. And, like, yeah, of course he would be upset. And that's, like, fine. But it's also just kind of like, yeah, it doesn't make you look good, Mal. It makes you look like a little bitch. And I think that's also something that draws itself through the other books. I don't think he ever gets over the fact that, like, Alina is stronger than him, in a stronger position of power and, like, more important. And I think he never really gets over that.
Again, I don't remember that much. But considering him always being in the role of the protector and the having to look out for her, I assume very much in a similar way that a lot of young men struggle with the way that, you know, the current world is changing, is that they're like, oh, but now my role is gone. Yeah. What else am I but the protector of the land and the protector of my woman and my family and my house and my tree and my pet, you know? So maybe that will be what is driving the young man, where he's like, oh, well, what am I to do now? I don't know. Be a good friend, I guess. Yeah. Be a good partner. Give her a little kiss on the cheek.
We will see where this goes in the sequels. Because, like, obviously I also don't perfectly remember what happens there. I just remember that I really, really hated this guy, and I'm sure it will come back to me again. Probably not as intense because I just don't care that much anymore. Like, I'm not emotionally invested in this story, so even if he sucks, it doesn't, like, bother me. But no.
One of my favorite aspects about Mel is that, and this again is meta knowledge, when Leigh Bardugo was writing these books, and then she got the reception of people to Mel, she was flabbergasted. She did not understand why people did not like this man. And people were like, no, he's annoying. He's like not a good partner. He's not the right match for Alina, which led people to shipping her with anybody but Mel. Which she was so surprised by. She was like, no, he's this perfect little being, you know, this person from life. Which led Netflix TV show Mel to be such a different person and characterization. There was, like, people were like, oh, that's what you were supposed to be. Yeah. He's not a completely different guy, but she just switched the dials a little bit, and suddenly it's like, that's a Mal I could see myself being with, you know, he's a good man, Savannah, you know, that's what you're looking at, you're like, okay, I can see that. And it's so funny seeing that and remembering that, and then reading the books being like, yeah, that was the idea, but that did not, that's not what ended up happening.
There's a reason why I think I saw some, like, stats from, like, polling that, like, about maybe, like, 25%, a third of the fandom were Melina shippers, and the rest was, like, other people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those were also like, oh, I don't have beef with the people who also ship Alina with somebody else who's not Mal. It was just the shippers who loved Mal and Alina who had beef with everyone else. It was very funny.
Yeah.
it was extremely funny.
Because they were like, we have the authority. We have Leigh Bardugo behind us.
This is real. Mal is Endgame, and everyone is like, we're playing pretend with our dolls. Leave us alone. Mal sucks.
Our dolls kiss.
It's very funny.
Yeah. But that's a conversation for itself, right?
Yeah.
People shipping characters, and then the canon ship people getting annoyed by that and stuff like that. So.
No, that's a very different conversation. One thing that really bothered me while reading this again in regards to Alina, and I guess also the relationship, is that at every point when anything relevant to her magical powers happens, it's about Mal. Either he's in danger, or she has emotional hang-ups with him, or anything. It's all about him. It is never growth in herself that is unrelated to him. It's always about him. That's like, wow, that's not... I don't love that. I think we should write women who are not only centered around how they relate to the men in their lives, be that their abusive teachers or their shit boyfriends. You know, I think they deserve better.
That's very feminist of her, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially on that note, like the first book, I know it gets better in the later books, like especially Zoya gets like a lot of like more nuance and stuff.
Yeah.
But this book fucking hates women. Every woman around Alina gets such a bad treatment. Either they're useless gossips who have nothing really, who are annoying. Then you have the women in the army who wanted to be Alina's friends just so they could have access to Mal, not because they liked her. Then you have Zoya, who's a jealous bitch. And then you have the queen, who's a shitty harlot who sucks. And then you have Baghra, who is old and also a bitch. And also sucks. Like, it's really difficult to read, in 2026 and look at it and go, wow, I don't love this.
The best approach, and I say approach, is by far Genya, but that's also because she's, like, the most we get exposed to, right? We have the most chance to talk with her. And because Alina is like, oh, okay, I get these glimpses behind this very superficial lens, and I see that. Or she's like, but I think that first thought I just had is dumb, because look at this woman, right? But everybody else...
it's painful to read at times. You're like, wow, I don't like that.
I love like that. I did not have a picture of Baghra in my head anymore, so I just was just from the Netflix show. I was like, okay, old woman, whatever. And then when she describes her, like, she looks like an old woman, but then she turned around and she didn't look that weirdly old.
She's like a glamorous 40-year-old model. It's like,
she got a facelift, you know, skin like straining over her perfect bone structure, eyes a little dull and deep, and I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, it sounds like a botched cosmetic surgery.
The funniest bit to me was the reveal that Baghra is the Darkling's mom, and Alina's like, wow, a beautiful woman who had a beautiful son, and I was just like, what? That's your first thought.
It's also not how I felt like she described Bagra in the first place. To me, at least. Like, she was like, oh yeah, pretty, but also kind of weird. Also kind of,
Yeah.
But, but it didn't come across to me as like a Morticia Adams vibes, where it's like, oh my god, this is this gorgeous woman who's older than 40, who just looks banger. But it's like, it was a strange description, I felt like, for Bagra. And then that, oh yeah, hot woman, hot son, is like, huh? What are we talking about?
That was such a moment.
Yeah, no.
But while we're at her, let's talk about Bagra. She is...
Oh my god.
She sucks so much.
Bagra as a character is very interesting, you could say.
Like, I feel like... I don't know if you've also read that. I think it was like a bonus material in one of the books that's like the short story from
the origin
the
story.
Darkling's childhood, yeah. Where it's like, okay, I can see where she got some of her hang-ups from, and I get where he got some of his issues from. But frankly, they both, to me, read a lot more like plot devices than consistent characters. It feels like, oh, they have to be here and do these things so the plot works, not necessarily because it really would make sense for a person organically to do these things in this way.
Yeah, I get that from the Darkling's perspective, keeping his mother, who's the only person who knows who he really is, close, makes a lot of sense, opposed to shutting her out, because then he doesn't know what she's cooking up.
I mean, she's not
keeping
cooking
her,
anything.
keeping her in a little hut, making her the one part every Grisha has to go through, giving her the unsupervised opportunity to start a revolt against him, because she gets these teenagers. Alina is old when she gets to her. Usually Bagra gets children, gets impressionable little guys. The Darkling nearly never sees them. So he puts the only person who could actually do something against him, he puts her into the position of educating and training young, impressionable, like genuinely young, impressionable, superpower people, who she could easily imprint in a way. And she first of all, dumb bitch doesn't do it.
First of all, why the fuck is she there? Why is she living there?
And second of all, why is he letting her do that? He doesn't. He could have just like said, "Oh yeah, that's my mother." He could have just put her away somewhere. He wouldn't have needed to, right? Like,
no, right? It's not necessary. Why is she living on the palace grounds? She could live anywhere else. She doesn't like children and she doesn't like teaching, so I don't know why she's there. Because it's not like he could stop her if she wanted nothing to do with any of this. She could have retired to a really nice cottage somewhere else where like servants come and like fill up her firewood, bring her food and all that. She didn't need to live there. So I don't get why she is there. Because, yes, she says to Alina, like, oh, I can't let, him have you and become, like, I love him. That's why I can't let him become this. And I'm like, girl, he's already this. Like,
he's already
I'm very
there.
sorry to say this, but he's already this. And also, if you wanted to prevent him from being in this position, you probably should have been whispering to everyone about how he's untrustworthy and how even the Grisha shouldn't trust him and that there's, like, more there and that, the story's not... that the funny thing he does where he pretends to die and then comes back as his own child regularly is fake. Like, you need someone. You need your own little goons at least. Like, how... she is so bad at talking to people and at even communicating with Alina at all about how she shouldn't trust the Darkling. It's like, girl, especially from that origin story short, sir. We know you can manipulate people. You know how to do this. How are you so bad at getting this teenager to at least question what this man is doing?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I also don't really get that, like, if she wanted Alina to mistrust the Darkling, she could have just, in the hut, been like, Alina, look at me, I can also do shadows. I'm an expert on this. This guy's not trustworthy. He has bad plans. I am promising you there is more there you should look at. She could have given Alina, like, a fake old-looking story that describes what the deer, like, antler color could do to her. Mm-hmm. She could have done stuff, and then Alina would have been like, wait, I have this that says it does that, and the Darkling would have been like, fuck my mom. But he wouldn't have done anything, because he's a mama's boy. He did it, like, he would have just been like, Mom, why the fuck did you do that? But she doesn't do anything! She doesn't do anything!
Bagra is like that meme of the guy on a bicycle who takes a stick, sticks it into the wheels, falls over, and then starts crying. The thing, I'm gonna go through this point by point, what you just said. Mm-hmm. At the start, right? With her being like, she literally says, I don't want it to let it come to a point that he cannot come back from. You should have done that centuries ago.
The shadow fold!
It's like, what? I don't remember how much backstory he gets in the creation of the Shadowfold in the books, because in the TV show it is played as this moment of desperation to save his then love. I don't remember how much of that is in the books. So it's like, oh my god, he did this as a moment of anger. Whatever. She should have started there. Then, she is so condescending towards Alina all the time. Every single thing she does, she always gets the treatment of, oh no, you're not good enough. What if you don't want this teenager to be susceptible to praise and to a person telling her she is special and she is great? Do not contribute to that moment of, you're not good enough, you're bad, you'll never be able to do this, blah 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 blah. That only will make her run into the arms of the abuser. And talking about that fucking abuser, the way Alina is like, oh, actually, you'll have to position someone in front of my room because the Darkling might be trying to come to my room tonight. She just goes, oh, you foolish, foolish little girl. Don't call her a foolish little girl. What are you?
I was about to say,
I'm so
your
angry
son's coming onto her so hard. He's the one.
At some... she's the Darkling is not just a mama's boy. She is a boy mom.
Oh yeah, well. No, she is absolutely.
She's looking at her baby boy like shy of like a couple thousand months old, you know, and she's looking at this man, and she's like, oh well, he did create the Shadowfold, and he did kiss this young girl, and he did, you know, lead other young girls into basically sex slavery. But hey, foolish little girl, that you fell to his charm.
Right. It's like, bitch, girl, your son is doing these things. Your son's a full-grown adult. He has been for 500 years. What are you doing? It truly is just like, this woman. It is so frustrating because it's like, if your goal is to stop your son from becoming a monster, first off, you failed. Second off, your methods are ass. What are you doing? Why are you doing it like this? What do you mean?
To me, truly, Bagra was, on the first read, and on the second read, I just got more angry at her. Has always been such a confusing character. Because none of this needed to happen. She should not have let it get to the point where Alina multiple times is like, Bagra, I think you are unwell. I am going to, like, you're talking nonsense. We're gonna fetch you away, whisk you away. I shouldn't have gotten to that point.
Right? It's like, listen, if you told your son to manipulate, mansplain, man-whore, why aren't you also manipulating these children into doing what you want, which is not doing the thing he wants. And also, this also brings me to a part where I'm like, okay, Baghra should, at least, if she took her gold seriously, have some influence in the palace. She should have had someone bring her some, like, run-of-the-mill amplifier and then just give that to Alina. Should have been just like, here, I have this for you. You can just have it. You don't need to wait for another one. You can have this. The deer isn't real. They're probably never gonna find it. Like, if you want to help people now, you can just take this. And Alina probably would have taken it. Like, should have at least tried.
Yeah.
Try, old lady. Try.
She could have... Oh my god, I listen, I support consent, but she could have just not even told her what the fucking amplifier is. She could have been like, girl, for training, here, take this thing, right? And then, even before... Okay, at some point, Alina gets told what an amplifier is, blah blah. She could have bullshitted her way out of that one. She could have been like, yeah, this is not an amplifier that will bond to you, it's just a trinket, right? And then boom, Alina has an amplifier, and from the knowledge we have at this point, where it's like, oh, you can only have one,
right.
Done deal.
This is also a point where I was just like, when I read it the first time, I didn't think of this, but reading it now, I was just like, Mal's a really good tracker. Why don't you guys just find a different amplifier and put that on Alina, and then the deer problem is solved anyway, because you also know you can't have two amplifiers. So he can't, like, it doesn't matter if he finds the deer, if you already have an amplifier, then that doesn't work anymore. Like, girl, just use a different one. You could have just...
The whole thing, Baghra really bugs me. Because to me, in the, like, people will be saying it's not that deep, but for me it is that deep. To me, she represents this generation of older women who look at the younger generation of women and want them to do all the correct things, and who want them to be virtuous, and who want them to be like the perfect person and to not do the slutty lustful things that they did, right? But then they support the same system and the same things that will lead to the same abusive things happening to these young girls, to this new generation. Yeah. And then they'll even point at them and blame them. And I know that's probably was not the intention with Baghra, because what I do remember from the later books is that her continuous story is one of, oh no, we're so sad. Oh no. Oh, we miss her.
Most of what I remember is that she does nothing. Like,
right?
She teaches Alina something later again, but mostly she's just sitting around like, wow, I'm cold, make the room warmer. And it's like, Baghra, could you be more helpful, maybe? No? Okay.
Right? So, this character to me just makes me fucking angry, and the way it's laid out in the book, it doesn't feel like she gets the consequences that she should be getting for her behavior.
What happens to her is very funny, though.
It is. It is nature and nurture. And her son, has been an adult for a long time, but I do blame her parenting. I do.
Like, her, genuinely, like, her parenting definitely didn't help. And, like, yes, obviously, he never worked through the trauma of his childhood, which informs a lot of what he's doing now. But also, he's just a dick. Like, even with that trauma, you know... I don't think he has thought about what other people want or feel or think once in his life. Yeah. Other than, oh, they currently seem angry, I have to placate them to get what I want later, or whatever. He does not strike me as someone who exercises even the barest shred of empathy necessary for manipulation. He just hopes that whatever he says is getting done, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's something different parenting could have helped with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's very deliberate, of course, because it's also one of the reasons why, the book ends the way it does, and he loses, basically, at least this altercation, where, like, if he had just listened to Alina and been like, okay, you know what, yeah, it is smarter to keep that other boy around just to, hold him over her head to force her to do what I want all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's a petty little bitch, and he was like, it's gonna work out. It'll happen the way I want it to anyway. So we're gonna kill that boy. If he hadn't tried that, then Alina wouldn't have had her great epiphany, and he would have been fine. But no. He's a petty bitch. I mean, I do support killing Mal. I do think that was a good choice, but the situation wasn't right for it, so...
Yeah. This whole situation has you defending a man you don't even want to defend. But, like...
No. I'm defending his right to live, but I'm like, listen... It would have been the smart thing to do, even if not the emotionally satisfying part. It needs to be remarked. He's bad at manipulating people. It's really funny. Like, Bagra's like, oh, he's playing people. And it's like, he's bad at it, though. Like, he mostly just gives orders and then has brute force on his side. But real manipulation requires an amount of understanding where other people are coming from and what they want and making them feel like they might get it. But he mostly just threatens people. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you if you don't do what I want. Which is like, it works to some degree, but not for everything, you know?
He's doing what you said. He does make them want a thing and make them think that they can have it. The thing is their life, because he is threatening them. That's what he understood how it works. Yeah. Oh my god. So it does... She just makes me angry as a character. I
understand that. I was also pissed at her. I was like, why are you here? You're not doing anything. Real tuxedo mask moment where she's like, my work here is done. You're like, Bagra! You didn't do anything! Come back! Do something! Fight your son! I don't know! Do something cool!
I also love how when you have this huge reveal scene, right? And Bagra's like, this is what I've been preparing you for. This is... like, how about you would have told her at some point? How about you would have given her a little bit of heads up on the actual dangers and not use punishment as a teaching method? You know, Bagra, you have sown and you are reaping.
Right? It's like, it's also, you barely prepared her because your training was awful. You don't know how to teach. Girl! The only reason Alina started to be able to light bend was because she had an epiphany, but that epiphany, you didn't know this would work. You were just rude to her. You were just like, girl, what are you even waiting for? Fuck you. And she was like, oh my god, she's right. I have been waiting for Mal, but what for? It's like, she could not have known that this would work. She just said something in anger. Like, it just happened to work. Both these people, mother and son, they just happen to be lucky a lot of the time. Yeah. But they're not good at this.
Yeah. And I know there's some people out there like, oh no, but this sort of teaching works with me. And funnily enough, I'm not saying this is a causation, but there's a lot of correlation between these people saying this stuff and these people also being involved in sports from a very young age, especially very competitive sports. But usually the moment of, but I managed to still learn something comes from the fact that you managed to learn a thing, not because you were trained well.
It's also just like, yeah, okay, it works on some people, but we have research that shows specific kinds of teaching work on everyone, basically. Yeah. So why not do the better thing anyway? Like, even if that works on a few people, the other thing works better. Humans love praise. Humans love feeling like they accomplished something. Yeah. Social animals love affirmation from others. Like, it's so simple. People love that shit. Bagra, you suck. You've been teaching people for hundreds of years. How are you so bad at this? Incomprehensible.
That one teacher who will never change their methods, and you can just hope at some point they will go into pension, but she will never because she is ancient. So you're just stuck with her bad
It's like, damn, methods. She's never retiring. This is her retirement. Oh no.
But yeah, from all the side characters we get introduced to, Bagra is the most grating in my opinion, because she is not just, some of them are painfully flat, but that is okay, because they're not supposed to do anything great.
Yeah.
But Bagra being so integral to the story and to Alina and to her power progression just makes the whole thing so bad.
Right? It's like, especially at the end where the Darkling and Alina kind of fight, and he's like, wow, Bagra really taught you a lot. And I'm like, I don't think she did. I don't think that's true. I don't agree. That's not what happened, man. That's
and the fact is that the intuitive part of Alina's power, like making a little rainbow at the demonstration, that did not come from Bagra. Bagra did not show this girl how to make a rainbow. That came from Alina training with the other summoners at the pavilion. Truly, Bagra taught her shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bagra taught her like a little bit about like control and all of that, and like maybe made her a bit better. But it's like, yeah, but the most important part, her not being able to use her powers at all because she was repressing them, that happened on accident. So I don't think she should get any credit because she almost failed the assignment. She was just lucky. So especially because she was like, don't come back here until you've like figured this out. That's a bad teacher. That's a really bad teacher.
That's how you have students not coming back.
Right? It's like,
they figure it out without you, and they realize they managed to figure it out without you, so they don't need you. Or they go to someone else to teach them, or they lost motivation and drive, and they don't want to learn it anymore.
It's truly... he's so bad.
I could complain for a whole hour more just on this woman and everything.
This woman is like, there's a... I mean, it does... I do feel like a lot of the sexist shit from, like, the writing gets better in the later books. Like, I do think there is... Especially Zoya's writing is on purpose. She is supposed to be antagonistic first, and then it's like, oh... She was also being manipulated, and this was also just a power play set up by a system in which it incentivized people to be separate and to be trying to one-up each other. And that's cool and all. That's nice.
Yeah.
But still, in the first book, it still comes across as... Especially because every other woman Alina's age gets a similar treatment, where they're either... useless gossips, or they're jealous bitches. Yeah,
it does make them come across extremely vapid, sort of, in a way. And it makes it come across as very silly. There's this one aspect where Lena's like, oh, these Grisha truly love to cosplay as peasants, right? In the way that the clothing they wear and their stupid little customs and the food that they eat.
It's so funny that the Darkling makes them eat shit herring and garbage bread all the time. That's really funny to me. He's never eating with them. He's just like, yeah, you people.
He's like, I'm keeping them humble. I'm keeping them thinking this stupid stuff. And then... even more adding on to that, you have these girls. It was Nadia and I don't remember.
Marie, I think.
Marie, yeah, I think Marie. Marie.
Something like that.
Who could also just as well not be there.
Yeah. They don't really add much. No, absolutely. That's just like, okay, what are they doing?
Especially because they also don't seem too smart. In relations to Genya, because they're like, oh yeah, Genya is like the little king bitch whore, and I'm like, girls,
right?
You should use that education you're getting, use that knowledge you have of having the lived experience of being a woman in the world you're existing in right now. Do you truly think Genya is trying to hustle her way up the ladder by sleeping with the king? Like, what do you expect?
It truly is just like, okay, none of the women except Alina are given even the chance to have a positive relationship with Genya. They all just hate her. They all just look down on her, even though it's like, wouldn't a lot of them look at her and go, oh, that could have been me? Like,
Right.
Because the Darkling could have also seen that I had, like, what if I had these powers and then I would have been given to the Queen as a pet, right? Like, not everyone.
It wasn't Genya's choice.
Some people would have these thoughts because, like, right? It feels very simplified. I also, that's another thing that irked me while reading, where, like, Alina meets the king, and the way it's written, she's just like, wow, he's so ugly, and there's this burst vein in his nose, and if I imagine, like, his wet mouth, like, oh, no wonder, like, that'd be awful for Genya, and it's like, really? It's just awful for her because he happens to be ugly as shit? Like, that's the problem? Like, the framing of it was just like, yeah, I understand he's off-putting, but, like, maybe the problem is not just that he's off-putting visually, and, right? Like, the framing, I was like,
you should be off-putting. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, it just comes up whenever I hear somebody say that. Yeah, I hope it was meant to be in a way as, additionally to this thing, he's ugly, that must be even worse. But it does come across as, oh, he's ugly, so that must make it bad, or hard, or difficult, unpleasant. And as if that is the reason why it would be. And again, you could be like, well, that's a very teenage way to think about this, because Alina being our blushing virgin has no context to what that means. It's like the screen going black, you know, she's like, okay, and then the king and Genya walk into a room, he closes the door, fade to black, right? But it's still, it's just, you don't have to include everything, you know? You can just...
Yeah, the framing of it, I was just like, I don't love that. I don't, Especially because, I mean, it's not a direct comparison, but she does also get her boundaries violated by the Darkling, and she is afraid of him, but there's never the same kind of disgust reaction to him because he is still hot. Right?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, this is just, like, something that's very present generally, and I feel like it's unfortunate that it's also present here, even though it really doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do know that pretty privilege is a thing, right? But...
Yeah. No,
then again...
But also,
you know,
if someone violates, like, your innermost boundaries like that, I feel like maybe it probably wouldn't matter to you that they're hot. It's just that from the outset, other people would say, but, well, he's hot, so it couldn't have been that bad. But that just makes it worse, right, for the people who experience it. So, like, I did not love that part. That was a part that also made me go, oh, while reading. But again, it's like, it's from the early 2010s. So it's not... It's par for the course. It's not great, but it's also not surprising.
Yeah. I would say everything around... I really like Genya as a character. I think her whole premise is super interesting, and I appreciate that she has been put into that story. I feel like a lot of it is still weirdly handled. But yeah, it's a victim of its time, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
In the way that it's written. I feel if Leigh Bardugo were to rewrite this now, it would look different.
Yeah, for sure. That's also what I mean, that, like, she's shackled herself to this universe, because I feel like if she were to build a similar universe now, it would be way more interesting and way more complex than what she did in the debut novel, but she's stuck with it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention.
Yes.
That while reading, I just thought of you. which was when right at the beginning, when they're approaching Novosibirsk, where the crossing to the fold is, and they were like, we're leaving the horses here because they get too scared in the fate. I was like, I bet you like that. I bet you like that.
Listen, the horses. One of my favorite things about the Netflix show. They have the horses everywhere. There's a horse here, there's a horse there. The Darkling rides a beautiful black horse. Alina gets a beautiful white horse to ride on.
The symbolism.
It's perfection.
The horses.
The thought of putting the poor little horsies, the first time I read this book, I thought it was going to end up in like, oh, the horses were going to be used as bait for the Volcra. You know, it's like one sacrificial horse at the start of the skiff, but that's not the case. Yeah, no, I was pretty sad about that. I thought it was curious that the Grisha were not taught how to ride, at the little palace, because you cannot just. I mean, okay, listen, horse. General way of getting around in those days. Okay. Most of the Grisha come from families that are, you know, not super poor. That being said, having a horse is still an expense that you need to be able to have.
Their families hardly matter because they come to the little palace at age like 5 or 6, right? So
right. You people who have horses usually teach their kids super young, and they're like, "You're 4 years old, yeah, slap that kid on a horse," right?
It's also,
but why would they not teach them how to ride at the little
especially
palace?
because a lot of them are going into worse situations where it's like, yeah, it's convenient to have a horse.
They have to ride them,
yeah. Would you not teach them how to ride? Very confusing. I guess it also makes the Darkling special because he's a horse girl. He can ride.
Yeah, it's just I did not like that, because it would have been even more fun if they had horse riding.
More horse.
Yeah, more horse.
You're like, a romantic horse riding lesson.
Do they go out for a ride in the Netflix show? I don't remember. I do remember that they all basically had like a wet dream in real life happening the moment they realized that Ben Barnes can actually ride horses, and that they could have as many fucking scenes as they wanted with Ben Barnes on the horse. And
majestically,
the producers were basically like rubbing their hands because they were like, we're gonna have Ben Barnes riding on his beautiful black horse so many times. We're gonna have so many shots of this man on his horse. So yeah.
That's really funny.
They must have felt like that. But yes. Do you have anything else written down? Because I don't think I have.
Most other things that I have thoughts on are things that are elaborated on in the later books, where I think it makes more sense to really talk about. But yeah, no. It's it's an okay book.
One thing I want to put here at the end before we close off the episode is that I think the map is fucking banger. If you do not
map is banger.
If you do not own this book, I want you to open, and you're listening to this right now, I want you to open a new tab and to type in Shadow and Bone book map. It is beautiful because it is so fucking whimsy. The fold.
It is so whimsical.
The animals, the decorations around it, the way that the cities are drawn. It's not gigantic or anything, but you really feel like the fold is this scary thing that's just in the middle of the map. I just wanted to give credit where credit is due.
Also, like, the borders of the map, it's just a beautiful illustration. It's truly banger.
Yeah. So, that's just something I wanted to get out there before we close in on the episode. But yeah, you can definitely expect at least 2 more videos, I guess, on the other books coming up. And we hope you enjoyed it. If you have watched the show, because Duck Number 1 obviously didn't. I would like to hear your thoughts on that as well, because I like to see what people think on that. Did you hate Mal in the books as much as we did? Do you ship Dark Lena? Because I'm always interested in people who do that. And what are your thoughts on the book overall? I just honestly type them up. Give them to us. Always happy to hear.
Yes. But remember, we will be doing the other books, so you don't need to necessarily focus on stuff from the other books, because we will also be yapping about that. But if you want to give us ideas of what to yap about in the other ones, that's also cool. We will be reading.
If you're like, listen, we need your thoughts on blah 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 that happens in book 2 and 3, let us know.
We will come back to it when we read those.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.